Hello everyone and welcome to Guild Wars 2 Daily. The footage in the background for today comes from Yami Poyo. You can find a link in the description if you want to check out their other stuff. Not sure what I'm going to choose from. There's a real variety here. There's some videos are really short and then some are ridiculously long, like 2 hours. So a bit of a variety there if you want to go check it out. But today, instead of mechanics or flat out lore spotlights or questions and answers, we're going to be kicking something kind of new off where I begin to look at the servers. This is essentially a lore episode, basically, but what we're going to be doing is looking at the servers in Guild Wars 2, what they're named after, and seeing what was actually going on with these locations in Guild Wars 1. There's a tendency with the Q&A and the spotlights and the lore stuff to only go into big kind of topics, while you might actually be surprised to find that if you just gave me a name of a certain area in Guild Wars 1, or you gave a Guild Wars 1 player a name of a place, they can tell you a hell of a lot of stuff about that place that you might not get out of those other formats. So we can do it this way, and I thought it might be fun because there's going to be a lot of new players coming into Guild Wars 2 that have to pick a server, and let's say you live in the US, you've got a whole bunch of servers to pick from, 48 of them at the moment to choose from. That's obviously going to go up and down as their game's lifespan goes on, but mostly down, I'd assume. But basically you've got 48 to choose from. They're all named after different things. How the hell are you going to know which one you want to go for? For Guild Wars 1 players, this is going to be really easy because we'll see the name of places like the Crystal Desert or Cavalon, and we'll think, oh yeah, I love that place in Guild Wars 1, and there's a little bit of nostalgia there, and we kind of know what we're choosing. Guild Wars 2 players, not so much. And hey, a lot of Guild Wars 1 players might find some interesting new little tidbits of lore about these places because they just didn't pay attention to it the first time going through. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing every now and then on Guild Wars 2 Daily, just having a look at some of these places. Now, the order I'm going to go in, I've not actually 100% decided yet. I don't want to just go through all of the EU servers first and then all of the US servers, because then anyone listening in might like the sound of something I'm talking about, but then just get put off anyway because it's not going to be in their specific area. So each episode will kind of jump back and forth. But having said that, we are going to open up with the first two that are really there on the list, which are German servers. And if we get a little bit more time, then I'll go straight over to a US one. But we can start off with the first one, which is Abaddon's Mouth. Now, just to clarify here, every single server is named after something that was in Guild Wars 1, but they're not named after characters or heroes or events that took place. They are simply named after locations. Not every single server name at the same time is a location we found in Guild Wars 1 either. There are some on this list that simply never existed in Guild Wars 1. For example, Leo's Point never existed in Guild Wars 1, and neither did O'Brien's Refuge. The thing with these names, though, is you'll notice they actually seem to be named, a lot of them, after developers of the game, which is kind of cool. Whether these places will actually exist in Guild Wars 2, it remains to be seen, but they certainly didn't exist in Guild Wars 1. So not every single one was in Guild Wars 1, but 90% of these names were places in Guild Wars 1 that we know a lot about. So anyway, right, the first one is Abaddon's Mouth, which I think is quite fitting, is quite a cool one to really start with, because this is the location. Really, it was two locations, depending on what way you look at it, but it was where, essentially, prophecies ended. The first game, the first campaign, when Guild Wars first started, this was where everything ended. This was the place called Abaddon's Mouth. The reason why I say it could be two places is because in-game, there was an actual outpost you could go to, which is where you'd form teams to go out for missions and leave and go in the instances. There was an outpost you could go to that was called Abaddon's Mouth, but then in the lore, there's the actual location in-game, Abaddon's Mouth as well, which is not at the same place as that location. Essentially, the mission that the location called Abaddon's Mouth is, the mission that started there took you into the real Abaddon's Mouth in lore, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm going to do is, because most of these, nearly all of them, as far as I can see at the moment, are outposts from Guild Wars 1, you can actually, in-game, you could always read a little bit of a description about them. So I thought that might be cool to start doing on these videos as well. So the first one reads, "This is the largest volcano in the Ring of Fire Island chain. Abaddon's Mouth is rumoured to be the gateway into the underworld, but only demons and devils would dare enter the fiery chasm. All other risk being burned to cinders before even getting to the magma's edge." The reason you came here in Guild Wars 1 was because you were looking for a way to defeat the Mersat, who were essentially threatening you, basically, because you were a Chosen and they wanted all the Chosen dead. They were threatening you, so you listened to a man called Vizier Kilbron, who told you that there'd be great great allies here at Abaddon's Mouth, and these allies would help you to destroy all of the Messart. And that's true. These things that were at Abaddon's Mouth would destroy the Messart, but they weren't allies. These were the Titans, mindless creatures that just basically were hell-bent on destroying everything. Turned out you got betrayed in the storyline when you got to Abaddon's Mouth. You found these supposed allies, but the Vizier revealed that he just wanted to use these himself so he could control the world for himself. So you release these things, defeat one enemy, you defeat the Messart, and then you have to turn around and fight the Titans. But the location, Abaddon's Mouth itself, is the name that we give to the caldera of the largest volcano on the Fire Island chain. So the Fire Island chain is this remote area, this section of islands down in the southwest of Tyria that really no one ever gets to. You get the impression in the storyline that there's actually no natural harbours, or there's only one on the entire area. It's a very, very difficult, very hostile environment that no one could ever really settle on. However, the Messart were very active around this area because they knew that these creatures, the Titans, that were prophesied to defeat their race, could be released from the Fire Island chain. So the Messart knew that the downfall of their race came from something there. So they all moved, basically, or a large chunk of them moved to the Fire Island chain, and they built something called the Onyx Gate. And this is essentially just a big wall of Messart architecture, so it's like this weird kind of material that we're not too sure about. It looks kind of like obsidian, but essentially they built this big wall right around Abaddon's Mouth, around the caldera of this volcano, to make sure nobody could get through there without them knowing. And in the Story of Prophecies, you just fight your way through all of these Messart to get to the caldera with the Vizier so that he can release the Titans. You unknowingly release the Titans. You don't actually want them to be released because you don't realise at the time that they want to destroy everything and that the Vizier is going to betray you. So that's why you end up going here to Abaddon's Mouth. It is literally the place where the gods, all the years ago, when they created the Bloodstones and sealed away the magic that they gave to the races of Tyria over 1,000 years ago, this was the place that they threw the Bloodstone. That's where it ended up. Of course, later on, though, after the gods threw that into the Bloodstone and before the events of Guild Wars 1, the volcano erupted, and it erupted so violently at this point in the past that it actually spread the pieces of the Bloodstone all over Tyria, miles and miles and miles away, all over the place, which is pretty crazy. But one chunk of the Bloodstone is still there in the caldera. Actually, on a recent Guild Wars 2 Daily, I said that that was the keystone in there. I was mistaken, actually. They don't actually specify whether that one that's still in the caldera is the keystone. I guess I just assumed it was, but it might be just a normal chunk of the Bloodstone. But in any case, so you've got this caldera here, and one of the chunks of the Bloodstone is still there in the volcano. Now, in addition to this, we have the story of Abaddon. I talked a lot about this with my magic spotlight recently, how Abaddon was this god that wanted to give magic to the races, and then he went at war with the other races, and they sentenced him and imprisoned him in a different realm, the realm of torment. Now, Abaddon apparently knew that once he got back to Tyria, he'd need to do something with these bloodstones, so it seems that he opened a portal using with whatever strength he had. He managed to open a portal that linked the realm of torment to the bloodstone that's in the caldera. So in this massive volcano, in this remote area, this hostile environment, is a bloodstone in the middle of the mouth of a volcano with all lava going on everywhere, and by this bloodstone is also this portal to the realm of torment, and it's from the realm of torment that the Titans were going to come and attack the Messart and take over the world, basically. So what the Messart did is they came here to the bloodstone, to this portal that the Titans could get out of. Specifically, it's the Foundry of Failed Creations on the other side there, where the Titans are created. And the Messart built something called the Door of Kamali, which was this great massive thing that sealed shut this portal. But to keep the portal shut, to protect their race, they then had to charge this gate to keep power on the gate so that it would keep the portal shut, and by charging it to give this power they needed souls of people. So then the Messart then had to start sacrificing things, not necessarily just humans but things, to get their souls, to keep these soul batteries charged, to keep the gate shut and keep their race alive. So at some point they decided that they were going to go to Kryta and they were going to begin sacrificing people in Kryta to charge their soul batteries and keep the gate shut. So there's all this stuff going on here at Abaddon's Mouth, and that's what it is. There's a lot of stuff going on because that's the climax of the prophecy storyline. If I haven't made 100% sense of that right now, don't worry, the summary will be going on to that very shortly. In fact, by the way, the next summary episode's coming out on Sunday. I've had a few people asking me about that. It's Sunday, so don't worry about that. But Yeah, that's really a very significant location. So if you're playing on a German server, maybe I'm looking at the names of these, and that's probably the one I'd go for. Very, very cool area. Again, whether ArenaNet are specifically referring to the outpost where the mission begins, where you journey to Abaddon's Mouth, or Abaddon's Mouth in lore, is unclear. I don't really think it matters that much, though. One other little thing that kind of happens right next to Abaddon's Mouth that's quite a significant part of the story that a lot of people look over is the fact that you've just fought your way through the Onyx Gate the entire time on the Ring of Fire Island chain. The Massart have been trying to kick you off because they know you're about to be the downfall of their race. So they're continuously fighting you, and once you get through the Onyx Gate and you're basically home free to Abaddon's Mouth, in these lands between the gate and the Bloodstone there, you actually go through this very narrow passage between like two huge walls of volcanic rock, and the last thing standing in your way basically before you get to that Bloodstone are two Massart. One of those Massart is just a random boss that gets randomized every time you rerun the mission that could appear anywhere in the mission. But the other boss is a Massart named Optimus Caliph. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that was the leader of the Massart. And you actually kill that. That's the last Massart really until ages later in the War in Kryta. That's really the last Massart you end up killing in Guild Wars 1, especially for prophecies, which is really, really interesting. So you've got this guy, except for like a couple that appear at the Bloodstone later. But it's like, that's quite a significant moment. You basically defeat the leader of the Massart right there, right by Abaddon's Mouth, which is really interesting. If you're asking about the evidence, that is not actually confirmed. It's just very, very likely given the amount of things we know about this guy. For a start, Optimus Caliph, that can be translated from Latin, and that can essentially mean a few different things, but in general it can mean highest successor, highest representative, or highest ruler, which are all pretty leadership-y titles, I suppose. And as for his name, it can be translated from Latin, but also his name is nothing like any other Massart names that we ever came across. Most Massart had a first name and then a title, so it was like Mercia the Smug, or Faraz the Undying, or stuff like that. It was a name and then the something. But Optimus Caliph didn't adhere to that at all. He was just Optimus Caliph. He was the only one that we fully knew his name. And also in the bonus mission pack, when you get to play as Saul D'Alessio and essentially meet the Massart the first time they come into the story, is Optimus Caliph is there while he's still alive. He's the one that kind of steps forward with two other prominent Massart. One of those prominent Massart, by the way, is one that's going to appear in Guild Wars 2, it seems, which is really cool. But Optimus Caliph's one of those guys too, and he kind of stands in the middle. He just certainly seems like the leader. But in any case, that's something else that happens at Abaddon's Mouth. It's a really, really cool place. It's the climax of prophecies, as I said, which is pretty cool. The other area, I think I'm going to go with 2 an episode here, because otherwise I could be talking for ages. I mean, we've gone 13 minutes. 13 minutes? Oh, maybe I should stop. Yeah, okay, alright. I've just done 1 area today. The plan is to do 3, though. I won't get carried away in the future. I'll go a lot quicker on them. Like I said, I mean, you can come up with just 1 area and talk for ages on them. I mean, that's quite a significant area, I suppose, and I won't have so much to say on all of them. But you can talk for a long time. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of this idea for daily. And, yeah, we'll continue with it in the future. I'll get many more out per video. Really, sorry about that. I didn't mean to ramble for so long. But anyway, there you go, guys. That was Guild Wars 2 Daily Server Edition, I suppose. I don't know if I'm going to name it any of that. But in any case, that was Guild Wars 2 Daily. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow. See you next time.